What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is you don't need knowledge to know what you know. And that's an interesting topic. What if you actually know? How many of you have been accumulating degrees, classes, quote-unquote, knowledge that never got you what you desire? Then suddenly you had an awareness of something that changed your life, and it was totally not from education that you got. So let's talk about it. And just a little bit about me, if you're joining me for the first time. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich, which actually means medical doctor. I was born in Russia, came to the United States when I was a child, and became a family practitioner pretty much because I desired that. And then practiced for 10 years in my own private practice, only to find out that between the stress of the work, between the stresses of marriages, I ended up with open heart surgery, bypass at 37. So talking about knowledge, how much knowledge did I accumulate over the years? 11, pretty much my 10 years of school or high school, all of those things, and then 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and then 3 years of residency. Talking about 11 years postgraduate. And still, do you think I knew what was going on with my patients? A lot of times I would walk into the room with a patient. I had no idea what's going on, and yet I knew, because we know much more than we think we do. With everything that was going on, a lot of times what would happen, I would start examining the patient, and they might come in with totally unrelated stuff. I remember specifically one patient which came in with a sore throat. And suddenly I'm like, do you mind if I examine your breast? It was totally out of nowhere. And believe me, I'm not a pervert. Even if I am pervert, that had nothing to do with that. And I didn't even think of being pervert until later when I started reading about all those weird stuff. But in the exam room, I'm like, do you mind? And she's like, no, of course not. So I examined her breast, and there was a lump there, which turned out to be cancer. And it was very early stages. So was it my education? Hell no. It had nothing to do with my education. Education helped me in the exam. But my awareness of what was going on in your body had more to do with my awareness, with my knowing that there was something else. And how did I know? Have no fucking clue. Seriously. It was like, and then there were another patient in my practice who came in with upset stomach. I ended up doing gynecological exam because there was something going on in the lower abdomen, and she was pretty much in surgery at 11 o'clock at night that same day because she had ovarian cancer. So saying that, those two, and there were much more in my practice that I can possibly even remember, it was more about knowing, the internal knowing that comes not from the brain function, not from what I learned as a medical doctor, but more from the internal, call it intuition. But as infinite beings, we are connected with everything. We're connected with oneness, call it God, call it divine intervention, divine energy, universe. There's so many names for consciousness. But that's what it is. It's pretty much, we're talking about consciousness. I'm not even sure if I had the knowledge of Akashic records at that time. Maybe, maybe not. But even Akashic records. And let's talk a little bit about them. Akashic records is the field of infinite possibilities, or consciousness itself, but it's more of the record of everything that was, is, will be, all the infinite possibility of past, present, and future. There's so much that's there. Let's put it this way. More than I can say in words. And I've been playing with Akashic records for the last 24 years. And I'm still scratching, just barely scratching the surface of the field. It contains everything, every emotion, every feeling, every thought, every possibility of every thought, feeling, and emotion that could have been, was, will be. It's mind-boggling. It's all the healing energies, all the vibrations of the universe are in there. And there are different methods of contacting it. And that's actually your knowing. That's where your knowing is coming from. And it's not outside of you. It's inside of you. A lot of time, it's pretty much when you take the manual of the classes, it's on your first page. It says, Akashic records are not outside of you. They are inside of you. They are in your heart. That's your heart awareness. Because we can be aware from our pineal gland, which is our third eye, which is our mental awareness. But mental awareness is still limited. It's a psychic awareness that works mostly, and I'm not saying only, but mostly in the physical reality, where things already solidified, where there is a possibility of only one future or maybe two or three. That's why psychics can tell you what will happen or what did you create in the future, because that's a solidity that was already created. And it can change. You can change it by different choice. Every choice creates a different future. Every choice you make creates a different future. Every choice you don't make creates a different future. And every future creates a different possibility and a whole set of possibilities. So that's why when you are in Akashic records, in the Akashic field, you might not see just one possibility. Unless you firmly solidified it, unless you're firmly determined to get to that point, the future is not predetermined. Neither is the past, and neither is present. All of them have infinite possibility of what you can create, and they all simultaneous. And that's the beauty of it, because we think of our lifetime as linear, that, okay, we had our past, we have our present, we have our future, and the future is determined by our education, our blah, 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 our parents, our family. Oh, God, no. Or, fuck no. Seriously, it's totally not predetermined unless you solidified by your choices in the past. And those choices might have been made the past lives even. A lot of people that we are in connection now, people that we dealt with from before, and those relationships we have, a lot of them might have been predetermined by the choices you made before. You say, okay, so my life is predetermined. Yes and no. If you choose to continue the same path you've been choosing, yes, then it is predetermined. Because that choice already created a certain path in your life. Let's say you get on a plane to go to San Francisco from Chicago. I live in Chicago, so that's kind of like my choice of boarding the plane. Up until the plane lifts off, you still have a choice of walk out and board another plane until they close the doors. Even then, you can create a havoc and get out. Now the plane takes off. You're in the air. The plane is going different direction. And yet, you still can create a havoc so it lands somewhere else. So even if the destination is predetermined, the destination is San Francisco, until you land there, you still can make different choices. Granted that when the plane is in the air, it's much more difficult to change the destination. Same thing when you have certain choices you made. Certain choices put you on that plane and you took off. When you didn't board the plane, when you are at the airport and you have multiple choices of destination, you have a choice of board any plane you desire. And that's what with Akashic Records you can do. You can return your plane ticket and get another destination. So what is Akashic field? It's a field of possibilities. And the way I facilitate classes, teach classes, how to access that field is through a prayer. And a prayer is nothing more than a vibrational frequency. And that's gets you to open up your heart, your awareness, and whatever you're blocking yourself so you get access to the knowing. And we have to go on the first break of the show. So you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we'll return, we will actually talk about something that's in the chat room. So we will be back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich. I'm Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is you don't need knowledge to know what you know. And before we went on a break, I just noticed the comments in the chat room. We had conversation about getting on a plane and emergency landing, and apparently I have a comment here. My grandfather had a massive stroke on a plane years ago. Emergency landing, which affected everyone on the plane. And what were they aware before boarding? Exactly. Because a lot of times, because this is a virtual vibrational reality that we've created. So we have those people playing the roles for us. So what if everything in our life we create based on our choices, based on our points of view? And a lot of people say, oh, it happened to me. What if it didn't? What if you're a magical creature that actually can influence everything and everyone in your life? And that's what I'm talking about, knowing. Because I do teach Akashic Records classes where you get much easier access to that knowing. But this knowing is yours. Nobody can take it away and nobody can give it to you. You have it. It just, over the years, you pretty much shut it down. And when a child is born, children are very aware. Children have all the knowing. And yet, when we start saying, don't do this, don't do that, and try to teach them the right way of living their lives, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's good, what's wrong, what's bad, what's not, it pretty much shuts down the system of knowing, shuts down the access to the Akashic Records, to the knowing, to the consciousness. And the prayer, being the vibrational frequency, it starts cutting down and cutting off all those limitations we put on ourselves. Because we do have access to it all the time. And a lot of times we access it in emergency only. Pretty much when we are in trouble, when we kind of like in a situation where we need an emergency knowing. And we get that. A lot of times that knowing comes through the dreams, through other people. We hear something on TV and it's like, oh, that's what I wanted to need or needed to hear. All of that is something that creates more in your life as long as you allow it. And people say, do I actually need the prayer? No. As I said, it's about having all of that all the time. And there are a lot of methods that will get you there. Meditation is one of them. When you deeply meditate, when you get to that space of oneness, that's Akashic Records or consciousness or divine energy or that your knowing. Access consciousness, when you're getting bars or doing bars, when you're doing body processes, when you're facilitating or being facilitated, all of that gets you in that field of infinite possibilities where everything is possible. And that's what I call Akashic records, or field of possibilities. So it's just different tools. With Akashic records classes, it's not about getting to know your future, because future is changeable, malleable, and totally up to you and up to your choices. Classes of Akashic records is about clearing whatever is not allowing you to be that infinite possibility, infinite being that you truly are, truly have that infinite possibility and choose. Tools are different, because I talk a lot about access consciousness, where we use clearing statement, we use bars, body processes, and symphony energies, and now Healy, which is a technology that I love and been using the last 2 weeks to change things in my life and others. With Akashic records, well, I think Healy probably works in Akashic field as well. But with Akashic records classes, it's a little bit different tools. It's points on your hand, which is a grace points. I think it's about 20 of them at this time. In my school, there are different grace points. There are different schools of Akashic records, and you might ask which one you resonate with the most, and then pick the one that you resonate with or that you're drawn to, whichever will be fun for you to take. So the grace points on the hands, actually both hands, and prayers. Again, prayers are vibrational frequency. They are not Catholic prayers, Christian prayers, Jewish prayers, or Muslim prayers. They're just prayers. They're prayers to ask for what you desire or ask to clear something that you desire to clear. And with all of that, it's about energetic clearing of the past, present, and future. And you say, what? Clearing the future? It's so funny because it's not linear. A lot of things were solidified in the future as much as in the past, which is kind of hilarious. How do you do that? And it has no meaning to a lot of people. I remember working with one of my clients, and it was a kid. Well, to me, a kid, anybody under the age of 25. He's, let's say, young adult. And his mother sent him to me, kind of like hoping that we can change and shift things, not so much looking for the future. Though he came in with that idea that tell him the future. I'm like, no. Let's look at what's going on, what you need to change, and all of that. So when we looked at the contracts that were limiting him and not allowing him to have the business that he was actually about to buy, but the sale wasn't going through. So we looked at that, and he's like, oh, probably past life. So I actually looked at that, and I don't see that contract in the past. So I'm like, okay, you sure it's in the past life? What if you put it in the future that's lacking you right now, and that's why we cannot change it? And he's like, oh my God, you're right. It is in the future. And that knowing is totally illogical. He's like, it doesn't make any sense. But that's true. So that's how we cleared that, and actually that sale went through, I think, within a week. So with all of that, a lot of times we don't realize that we actually know. We know, and that knowing is whispers. It's not as loud as our ego that tells us we don't know. No, you cannot know that. There is no logic. There is no reason. There is no anything to support what you know. Especially when in relationships, a lot of people, like if the spouse or significant other is cheating, we are aware of what's going on. And it's not logical. And yet, a lot of times we've been gaslighted, saying, oh, no, that's not true. Only later on to find out, yeah, that was true. We knew. So what if instead of gaslighting ourselves and allowing others to gaslight us, and gaslighting pretty much lying in our face and telling it's the truth and we believe it, it has. And a lot of people do that for a long time. Even especially when they are gaslighted, they stop trusting their knowing. And yet, we do know. And that's what feels light. Truth will always feel light. Whatever is true will feel light and expanding. And the lies always contract us and twist us and makes us feel so awful a lot of times. And we don't understand, and understand I put in quotation marks, because there is nothing to understand. It just is. What if we stop trying to understand the whys, the hows, and start concentrating on what we actually know? And the way to do that, you don't need any classes. Though classes help. I love the opening prayer because it lets me instantly to know what I know. It's pretty much like drops everything, opens me up, expands me, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. But even if you didn't take any classes on Akashic Records, even if you don't have any Access Consciousness tools, if you close your eyes and slow down, I'm talking about not necessarily sitting in a true meditation, but just slowing yourself down, getting yourself out of that rat race that you call your life, and just for a few minutes, just be quiet. Allow yourself to be quiet inside. And just ask those questions and allow yourself to know. And I know you're so excited to hear what's next. But right now we are going on our second break of the show. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And we will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Magic and abundance are everywhere. What if you could tap into abundance and start creating your life with complete and total ease? Working with Dr. Helen Gitlevich will give you exactly that, total ease in creating abundance in your life. Dr. Gitlevich creates classes all over the world, both in person and online. She works with you to create abundance with your money, with your body, with your relationships, with all areas of your life with total ease. Connect with Dr. Helen Gitlevich at creatingabundancewithease.com. Her contribution in your world will be a noticeable gift in a very short period of time.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-5255, 8736 or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is you don't need knowledge to know what you know. And we talked about Akashic records, we talked about your knowing, we talked about just slowing down. And if you're curious about Akashic records, I'm actually teaching a couple of classes starting in September. The basics where you learn how to open your records, how to get in touch with your actual knowing. It starts on September 19th, and it's a 2-day class, 19th and 20th, and it will be online as well as live. The live class will be in Chicago area in Buffalo Grove. And then advanced class will be on September 25th, 26th. And I'm actually doing a few classes in Access Consciousness, including Being You classes, which also get you in touch with your knowing. And I'm co-facilitating that class on September 7 and 8, an adventure of being, wealth of being, with amazing facilitators from Guatemala, Rachel Silver. And with wealth of being, it's everything, including your knowing, and including how to create wealth. So, and then body classes, 3-day body classes around the world. And you can find me on Access page or creatingabundancewithease.com website. So with knowing, with everything that we've been talking so far, a lot of our knowing, a lot of our kind of like intuition and awareness has been blocked by a lot of things, a lot of judgments. And a lot of times it could be even as simple as guilt or anger or being hurt, quote unquote, by somebody. So one of the tools of Akashic Records we use, as I said, prayers. One of the major one is forgiveness. And I'm not talking about forgive and forget kind of thing. It's more about clearing the energy of anger, of shame, blame, guilt, regret, all of those through the energy that you allow yourself to let go of all of those things. Everywhere where you hurt somebody or when somebody hurt you, you just let it go. And I'm going to read the prayer. That's how simple it is. You just read the prayer. You can do it aloud or silently. I usually recommend a few times a day, maybe 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night. And actually allow it to permeate every cell of your body. So forgiveness. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, heard to anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have experienced that was done, been, seen, heard to me by anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, and heard to me, by me, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. Just allow the vibration of the prayer to shift and change whatever you maybe had some problems letting go. And this is not about allowing those people that hurt you to do it again. On the contrary, when you allow the forgiveness to cleanse you, you actually become aware of what is true, what's true for you. And with that awareness, you can shift and change your life so you're actually not allowing that hurt to occur again. Or you might still choose it for some reason. Who knows what the reasoning is. And a lot of times the value is to punish yourself for something you did or didn't do maybe thousands of years ago, but you've decided you still need to be punished. And that's where the karma comes in. So those prayers actually starting to erase your karma so you can have a total choice in your life. How much of that are you willing to have that? So let me read it again. And my computer is not cooperating with me as maybe somebody does not desire to forgive somebody or something. And by the way, it goes also about something we did to ourselves. Because as you heard, there is 3 parts. Asking forgiveness when we did something, when something was done to us, and something we did to ourselves. So I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, heard, to anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have experienced that was done, been, seen, and heard to me by anyone or anything, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. I allow the forgiveness of the universe to flow through me, to cleanse me from anything that I have done, been, seen, and heard to me, by me, consciously or unconsciously, in any time, space, dimension, or reality. How are you feeling right now? Much better, right? And what if it's that simple? Just allowing yourself to create a different reality. It's about creating something that was never before. It's about being free of the guilt, shame, blame, and regret, and being free of certain emotions, or being free from the feeling of being hurt. It's about allowing ourselves to be much more than we can create based on our karma. Just sense the energy after I read the prayer. And if you didn't hear the prayer, you can maybe listen to it later on. The other thing is, I like another prayer because I have tons of prayers that does different things, releasing contracts, allowing us to realize who we are. But I like clearing energy patterns of the past, because a lot of times it's not just our karma that keeps us, which is unfinished business, unfinished contracts, but also it could be our judgments, not being able to forgive. Because I've seen some people who are like holding so tightly to that feeling of, oh, I suffer and I've been punished. And they cannot forgive themselves. They cannot forgive others. It's almost like perpetual circle of hurt, because the more they hurt others. And the more others hurt them, the more they actually hurt themselves. So clearing the energy of the past helps us to shift a lot of other things. Release me from the ties that bind me, that tie me to this earthly plane of existence and despair. Untie me from the ties that do not allow me to fly and disconnect me from the world of despair and judgment. Allow me to be all that I am. Give me back my strength to create heaven on earth. Release me from the ties that bind me, that tie me to this earthly plane of existence and despair. Untie me from the ties that do not allow me to fly and disconnect me from the world of despair and judgment. Allow me to be all that I am. Give me back my strength to create heaven on earth. How are you feeling right now? Anything changed? Because a lot of those ties that bind us, it's not just ties to our family or ties to this planet. The ties I'm talking about is ties of judgments. Because if we have a judgment, it holds us back. If we have a judgment, it's almost like that chain and ball that you see in the movies about the prisoners that have that chain and ball. That's the only thing I can describe. And so that's what holds us back. All our points of view, all our fixed points of view, all our things that we are unwilling to change. And some of them are good, some of them are bad. Because you think, oh, it's all bad, that's holding me, but not necessarily. Because sometimes the good points of view, the righteousness, especially the fighting for the rightness of you, that's what holds you back. And it's time for our second break of the show. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll continue to talk about this.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Magic and abundance are everywhere. What if you could tap into abundance and start creating your life with complete and total ease? Working with Dr. Helen Gitlevich will give you exactly that, total ease in creating abundance in your life. Dr. Gitlevich creates classes all over the world, both in person and online. She works with you to create abundance with your money, with your body, with your relationships, with all areas of your life with total ease. Connect with Dr. Helen Gitlevich at creatingabundancewithease.com. Her contribution in your world will be a noticeable gift in a very short period of time.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome. You've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Helen Gitlevich. And topic today, you don't need knowledge to know what you know. As we talked about it, how much of that knowing has no relation to your education? Nothing. With that knowing that we have, Akashic, call it Akashic field, call it consciousness, call it anything you desire, oneness. But we have access to that all the time. And with Akashic records, it's so funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who's been doing Akashic records for a while now. And it was a few years ago. She also used to teach Akashic records classes. And she told me she went on a date with a rocket scientist, a physicist. He literally worked on, I guess, our shuttles and programs of like the astronauts. So rocket scientist, pretty much. And when they went on a date, it was their first date. She asked him about his work, and he was telling her that he had an issue with some problem. Mathematical problem. Let's face it, she is not a physicist. She is, I think she was a manager in a company. I think she's accounting background, or maybe even not, maybe bookkeeping. So she had no education about rockets. And yet when he started talking about what he was doing, she started telling him how to solve that problem. He couldn't believe it. He's like, how do you know that? It's like, I have no clue. But that looks like that can solve your problem. I have no idea what she told him, but the next day it turned out to be exactly the solution to his problem. And she didn't have the education, but she knew. So how often do we ignore that knowing, even it has nothing to do with education? Because we decided that, okay, so if I'm not a doctor, I cannot know what supplement or what medication I need or don't need. But actually you do. Your body knows what you desire, what you need, what you don't need. And a lot of times you can ask your body, do we need to take that drug? And please don't stop medication if your doctor prescribed it. Talk to your doctor about that beforehand. But a lot of times what I found lately, since I've been using the healing machine, it's shifted a lot for me. I cut down on a lot of my medication that I used to take, because after surgery they put me on a lot of heart medication, which my body liked it up till this moment. But I always ask, do I still require it? And I follow my knowing. So what if you actually kind of welcome that knowing, even if it's so quiet that we don't even realize that it's there, because it's whispers. It's not loud. Our ego, on the other hand, our mind, so loud. It tells us what to do, when to do, how to do it, why to do it. There is so much of logic and justification with our brain, so we ignore those whispers of knowing and then trust the logic. What if we actually started trusting our knowing, the whispers? Whispers of oneness. Just saying, just allow yourself to be and do that. And it's also about being who we are. Because if we are not us, if we take on a persona of somebody else, it says, no, I don't take persona. Yes, you do. every judgment that other people have that you bought, every judgment that you have about you, about your body, you took on, creates that persona or personality or character. Every I am, which is I am a doctor, I am a daughter, I am a wife, I am a radio host, all of those are characters. They're definitions. They are not who I actually am or who I be. I am an infinite being in the infinite embodiment. And yet, I took on those characters to function in this reality. So what if you start peeling off those layers of judgment, layers of definition, layers of objectives, layers of reference points, and start looking at who you are? And actually the class, Being You, the Wealth of Being, is about that. And I am inviting you to the adventure in being that's coming up in September 7 and 8. If you're listening to that way past that, I'm pretty sure I have a class around the world or online that deals with being you or Akashic Records. And you can go to my website, www.creatingabundancewithease, and see what I'm up to. You also can schedule a private session with me. It's all available depending where you are in the world, depending on time of the day, depending on time of the week. And I might be even in your area soon. I'm going to Taiwan in November, and I'm going to England end of November. Mid-November I'm in Taiwan, and then end of November I am in London. Saying that, it's a plan. It's kind of like my desire, and yet it's not solid yet. It can change and shift. I'm not completely solidifying this reality because the possibilities are endless. And what if you look at your life as endless possibilities, unlimited choices, and total awareness? What if you can create that based on who you are, not based on education, not based on your family, not based on anything that you've created as solid, but just based on your knowing and your choice. And our show is coming to the end. You've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich. And the next show, we will have an amazing guest, Pam Hagelin, who is a CF, Being You facilitator, Joy of Business facilitator, and I don't have her bio in front of me, but next Wednesday she's joining our conversation on ease of being. So it's kind of continuation of our conversation today. So join us at 11 o'clock on Wednesday live. You can ask any questions in the chat room. And see you next time here, same place, till I see you again on Wednesday at 11 o'clock CST, 12 o'clock EST. Bye-bye.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating